My mother told me it was late July in the summer of 2006. The fields were alive with soybeans, which carpeted the landscape and glistened in the midday sun. It was my first introduction to Iowa, and it took my breath away. Well, it sounds perfect. My mother's introduction to Iowa was not all that easy, and she is such a strong person for making the move to benefit her family. To summarize my mother's transition to becoming an Iowan, I will talk about her past of living in New Mexico and the sacrifice that she made to her family by leaving the state. Let me start with my mom's past in New Mexico and her decision to leave the state. In the year 2000, my mom moved away from her home in Pennsylvania and moved to Grants, New Mexico, to begin her teaching career. She began teaching on a Navajo reservation, and from the start, she loved it. She soon met my father, and she was living her dream life. In 2004, she had me, and I was put into daycare, but my parents knew from the start that they did not want to start my education in New Mexico. 2 years later, when my sister was born, my parents decided it was time to make the move. In June of 2006, my father got a job in Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and my family moved 1,187 miles away to Cedar Rapids, Iowa. It is no surprise that a woman such as my mother would sacrifice her dream life for her family. Iowa was very far away and very new for my mother. She had never lived in the Midwest before, and she wasn't sure how to handle it. Life was so different in Iowa. She was far away from her friends and family, and she was very uncomfortable. She was very miserable here, but she knew that it was the right decision for her family. Iowa is ranked 9th in education, so she was sure that this was the way that her kids would get the best possible education, and she was sure that she made the right choice. Regardless of how pleased she was with her decision, her mental health still plummeted. She was so far away from her friends and her family, and she was also very unfamiliar with her city. Later on, she got a teaching job, and she made some more friends. She now has a stable life in Iowa, but she definitely still misses New Mexico. She has plans to move back to New Mexico after my younger sister graduates from high school. You have now been told and have an idea of how my mother's transition to Iowa was not all that easy, and she is such a strong woman for making the move to benefit her family. Considering everything that my mom sacrificed for her family, it is very clear to me that she is such a strong woman and cares a lot for her family. I'm not positive of how my mother is enjoying the state of Iowa at the current moment, but I do hope that she is still mesmerized by the beauty of Iowa.